Now to discuss the latest on what's happening in Brexit. I'm going to the UK, where I'm going to talk with Adam Schwarz about Brexit. Adam, thank you very much for joining us. Well, the government's dealing with lots of issues at the moment with the coronavirus crisis. It's left the country in tears, and there's something fishy going on, I guess, with the attempts to reach a Brexit deal. Boris Johnson's given himself a deadline of tomorrow to resolve the deal. Will it happen? Is there a chance?
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Well, firstly, just to give you a bit of background context, the UK officially left the European Union at the end of January of this year. And since then, it's been in a withdrawal agreement where essentially the UK has remained within the EU's economic structures. There's been no change in terms of the kind of UK's formal kind of structural status. But as you mentioned, Boris Johnson and indeed as well the EU gave themselves until the middle of October to come to a free trade deal agreement. I think it's all but assumed that deadline of tomorrow is very much going to pass without a deal. And that's why this evening Boris Johnson is speaking with Ursula von der Leyen, the EU Commission President, as well as the EU Council President as well, just to discuss the issues around that, particularly why there hasn't been more progress on two particular issues. The main one is state aid and the level playing field, and the second one is fisheries. So those two issues seem to be holding up negotiations at the moment. But I think it's very much expected that both the EU and the UK will decide to extend negotiations until the end of this month, or possibly early November.
So tomorrow, just to be clear, tomorrow isn't a solid line. It was a self-imposed deadline, and the talks can still continue.
Yes, that's correct. It's not a legal deadline. It was very much a kind of political deadline that they decided. So there's no kind of formal barrier to stop it. But obviously, there are time constraints in terms of when the deal has to be ratified by the European Parliament.
And also by Westminster, in order to move forward. Now, as I said when I started, there are lots of things happening at the moment, but one of the important issues that cropped up 2 weeks ago was a breakdown of trust between negotiators over the border between Northern Ireland and Ireland. Is this trust issue playing into the scenario right at this moment?
Yes, I think that came as quite a shock to the EU, although it's not completely unaware of the way that Boris Johnson has generally handled negotiations in the past. But I think it did very much come as a shock to the EU. But I think there is an increasing realization that actually this is kind of part of a negotiation tactic by the UK to try to coerce the EU really into giving into the UK's demands. The EU announced in the last couple of weeks that it's in fact pursuing legal action against the UK for the clauses in the UK's internal market bill, which is currently going through the UK Parliament at the moment, for essentially giving UK government ministers the power to unilaterally break treaty obligations. So I think that's, let's say, it came as quite a shock initially, but I think also the EU does recognise that it is all part of a sort of negotiation narrative and tactics. I think very much they're still very much moving forward with talks. No side has kind of walked away at this point.
Why is the fisheries industry so important? I can remember from years back I don't know if I can say fish wars between Spain and the UK and France and the UK. Is this a really critical issue for the negotiations?
I think it has been made quite a critical issue, but mostly because of the kind of UK's insistence. Fisheries kind of represents quite a small part of the UK economy. But I think in terms of the symbolism for the kind of narrative that the UK has created around what it sees for itself post-Brexit as a kind of sovereign nation in control of its borders and control of its fisheries, I think that it has quite an emotive importance for the UK government.
And is that emotional side of things important for the negotiations? Obviously, the Brexit process has been going on for many years, and people must be totally tired of hearing the word Brexit every day, every day, every day. So how will Boris Johnson, or how will the government be able to come out fresh-faced in January, given the circumstances right now?
Well, I think it's looking quite difficult. Boris Johnson's already faced, as he kind of alluded to at the beginning of the interview, quite a difficult time during this year because of the pandemic and because of the economic fallout from that. So I think the UK government very much wants a deal, even though it keeps on saying, as it has for years, frankly, that it's prepared to walk away and go for no deal. I think there's very little appetite at the moment for further economic disruption towards the end of the year. And the reality is, even if the UK does get a deal, there is going to be still some economic disruption that will come from that. There have to be import and export declarations, and of course the UK will be formally out of the customs union, the single market. So I think if Johnson can get a deal, that's, I would say, pretty much the minimum that he needs to do, really, to be able to kind of survive. Even though without a deal, perhaps some of his backbenchers in Parliament would be quite politically happy with that. The reality is that the economic mood of the country will very quickly turn against him, I think, if there is major disruption from any kind of no-deal exit at the end of the year.
So has Johnson bitten off more than he can chew?
I think he wouldn't put it that way. I think the main, of course, I think that the main two issues, I think, will be quite difficult for him to get both of them, state aid, level playing field, together, and fisheries. And I think there is a narrative at the moment moving towards the idea that the UK will give in to the UK's demands on state aid and level playing field, but that the EU will in fact give in to the issues on fisheries. But I think that has provoked quite a difficult response from some EU states that have fisheries particularly important to their economies. I think France, for example, Macron particularly has been quite uncomfortable with the idea of giving in to the UK's demands on fisheries. So I don't believe that Johnson will get all that he wants. I think ultimately with any kind of negotiation, there'll have to be a compromise on it. But I think, at the moment, we're kind of looking at a situation where both sides are kind of looking for the other side to give in on certain issues. So I think if we are going to see a breakthrough moment, it will be in the next couple of weeks. Well,
obviously everybody's being pushed up against the wall. So you've already said that you don't think agreement will be reached by tomorrow, which seems highly unlikely. Do you think that, in a final word, do you think that it will be possible for the UK to reach a deal with the European Union by the end of this year?
I do think it's possible, and I think it's probably the most likely outcome. I think there are huge pressures on both sides to come to a compromise. I think no deal is still very much a possibility, but given that the UK has already ruled out extending the current deal, I think it has very limited options. I think it is very possible that the UK will come to a deal, but Brexit has produced many surprises along the way, so we'll have to see what happens.
Exciting times ahead, and many pressures politically on all concerned. Let's hope that things manage to come to the best conclusion for all. Thank you very much, Adam Schwarz, for joining us today on A News.